Ugh, it's so cold in here. There's tree fluff all over me. Hello everyone, welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about board games and board gamey things. I am back today with another solo video, and today's video is all about board games that I wish had a solo mode. Now, I feel like I definitely need to caveat this with some of these games might have a solo fan made mode that you might be able to find on BGG, but as far as I know, none of these games have an official solo mode, and I really wish that they did. And just on the flip side, to start, let me just say a game that I wish had an official multiplayer play mode, and that's Final Girl. You can play Final Girl co-op if you like. You just kind of make it up as you go, so you could play together. Somebody can play as the killer and someone plays as the final girl, that kind of thing. But I don't know, I just kind of wish it had a multiplayer so Jeff and I could play it together, because that would allow me to play even more Final Girl. That would be pretty cool. All right, let's get into the list. So I have 10 games to talk about today, and I picked games that I know for a fact I would play way more of these games if they had a solo mode that I could just play them whenever I want it. So the first one on the list is going to be Far Away. Far Away is a game that came out this past year. I think it was just this past year, from Pandasaurus Games. And essentially what you're doing in this game is you're future planning. So you are going to be building out a row of different cards that are going to be scoring off of each other, but you have to place the last card that's going to be getting scored first and the first card last. And so it's a bit of a mind melting kind of game. And the reason why I think this would work so well as a solo game is because it's so thinky and puzzly. And I honestly it's been a little while since I've played it in person. There's not a ton of interaction that's going on besides people maybe taking a card from the market or whatever it's called that you might want. That's the only thing, but in a solo mode you would be able to maybe get an AI play mode or whatever that just takes a random card away, because how it works is if you have, I can't remember, it's either if you have the lowest card or you played the highest card or something, you get to go first versus last. I just think this game is so fun, and I would play it way more if I could just play it by myself. Next on the list is Paint the Roses. I have no idea how this would work, but there's gotta be a way to create an AI. I honestly, there's no way that this would work, because for anybody that doesn't know, Paint the Roses is essentially a silent deduction game where you are you've got a card with patterns on it and you're giving out clues to other players, trying to figure out what patterns are on your cards, patterns or colors. And I love this game so much, but here's the problem, is that Jeff's not a huge fan of this game, which means it doesn't see the table as much as I would like it to. So that basically means that if I want to play it, then I have to wait until I'm around other people who want to play it, or I could play it on BGA, but playing it async is less fun because I literally forget everything that's going on. So I really wish that there was some way to make this have a solo mode. No idea how that would work. That's not how my brain works, to be oh, well, if the robot character just did this and then they would take this logical guess. I feel like this is one that it would be probably impossible to have a solo mode for, but man, I really wish that it did so that I could play it more. Next one on the list is a newer game this year, and that is River of Gold. I have played the crap out of this game. We play it in person all the time. I play it on BGA all the time. I really wish that there was a way that I could play this solo, and I'm sure that there would be a way to do it, maybe like getting some kind of a challenge or having some kind of an AI boat that's moving down the river. So for those of you that don't know, in River of Gold, you are essentially sailing down this river of gold. You have different actions you can do. You could sail, you can build, you can deliver goods, you're collecting resources, you're managing your resources, and you're just trying to score as many points as possible. And in this game, there's also not a ton of player interaction with the exception of somebody might build the building that you want in the spot that you want it and those types of things. So I think that there's definitely a way that this could have a solo mode. And if it did, I'd be playing it even more. And I already play it a ton. So fingers crossed that that is like a later release that might happen someday. Okay, this one is pretty specific. And that is Potion Explosion. Let me explain myself. Potion Explosion, or Posh Splosh, a la Brothers Murph, that's what they call it. This is a game that I play solo on the app. But the app has a robot player. It has an AI player that you're playing against. I play this game when I travel constantly, and I'll also like continue to play it when I'm at home and stuff. If I need some kind of a game, like if I just want to have a quick game on an app, like I'll play it on BGA, but the app gives you a way to play it solo. And ever since I found the app that allows me to play it solo, I've played this game so many times. And so I wish that there was an actual like solo mode. Now, I don't know, this game is pretty old, so maybe it does have one and I just don't know about it. But I just, like, I love everything about Potion Explosion. I think it's just a great game, and I think it's so fun to play against a little robot character, and on the app you can choose, are you going to play, like, the easy, the medium, or the hard? I suppose many people probably know what Potion Explosion is, but if you don't, there is, like, this marble track, and you are going to be taking an ingredient out of it, which is a marble, and anytime you do that, the marbles are going to move, and if two colors clash together, then they explode and you get those ingredients as well, and you're trying to complete different like potions basically to score as many points as possible. The AI character on the app, they'll just kind of be playing alongside of you. They'll be taking different potions and they'll be doing different things like in the same way that a player would. So I don't know what could be done to make it mimic another player, but I'm sure that this could be an easy one to figure out. Then we have Fort. Fort is a game that I love so much. I would probably play Fort all of the time solo if I had the option to do it. So Fort is a game where you are building out your fort, you're a kid, you're recruiting friends, you're playing with toys, eating pizza, doing all of these things. It's a game that I've loved since I've gotten into the hobby, and it's just not a game that hits the table very often because you need at least 2 players in order to play it. But if I had a solo mode for it, I would play it so much more. I just know that I would because this is a game that if anybody's like, hey, what do you feel like playing? There's nothing you need to consider other than like, what do you want to play? Fort is always on my list because I love this game and I would love a solo mode. So Leader Games, if you would like to make a solo mode for this, I know you got someone working on solo modes over there now, so it's time to let Fort have one, please. Thank you. Next up is a newer one from Kids Table Board Gaming, and that's Diced Veggies. And Diced Veggies, once again, I don't know how you would create an AI character to do this, but essentially in Diced Veggies, you have a brick of dice that represent different ingredients that go into different recipes, and you are just trying to fulfill recipes to score as many points as possible. You have to be able to chop off the dice with your fake butcher knife from the edges of the dice pool, and then other people are going to be stealing dice from the block ones that you want. And I have such a fun time with this, and this is a game, even specifically on Board Game Arena, that if I could play this solo, I probably would just constantly be in a game by myself playing this solo, because I do that sometimes. I don't know if anybody else does that, or I don't know if you knew, but you can play solo games on Board Game Arena if you just need a little me time, and you just need, sometimes I do it to unwind like at the end of the day or before bed or whatever, I'll just play solo games on Board Game Arena. But Dice Veggies, I just think is great, and they just added it to BGA, so it's probably why it's on my mind. But even if it wasn't, I do, like, it's not a big setup, which is something that I often care about with a solo game. It's quick, it's easy, and I'd love to be able to just play this by myself every now and then. Next up is a bit of a modern classic, and that's going to be Azul. I think that there would be a way to do Azul with an AI kind of bot character that just steals different tiles or something like that. But Azul is another one that it's just like one of those like sit down puzzle games that I feel like would play great solo if you could figure out a way to do it. So if you don't know, I'm sure many of you do know, but in Azul you are essentially building out different patterns, tile patterns, by drafting tiles from the center of the table, and you are trying to like complete different rows and columns and objectives, and you're trying to score as many points as possible as per usual. I feel like this would lend itself really well to solo play if you could figure out how the AI bot could be the human jerk, because this game features a lot of hate drafting, and you could totally make a fake player to do that, I feel like. Anyways, and I also do think that if Azul played solo, so many more people would play it so much more often, because the struggle with these types of games is you always need another player, and sometimes that's not always available to you. Then we have another kind of puzzly style game, and that is Patchwork. Now, I don't exactly know. I think with Patchwork, it would have to be one of those like challenges in the same way that like Calico is, like get as many buttons as possible, or in the same way as like Gauntshot Clever is, like if you can hit this score, then you've beat the game or whatever. But I do feel like if I had the ability to play a game like Patchwork solo, where you're literally just, as a polyomino tile placement game, you're just trying to get as many buttons as possible by building out a quilt, okay? That's all you're trying to do. You have to spend buttons in order to get tiles, and then some of those tiles have buttons which allow you to make more buttons or get more buttons. It's just one of those puzzle style games that I think plays perfectly as a solo game. And it's a small box, like it's not like an insane setup. You're just putting tiles out and stuff like that. But there's got to be a way to like be able to get an AI character to just throw some tiles away. And I'm sure there's probably a solo mode for this on like BGG Fan-Made or something, but there's not an official one that I know of. But I think maybe it could be a relatively easy one to do it for. Solo Patchwork. I'm waiting for it. They have like Halloween Patchwork, Christmas Patchwork, Valentine's Day Patchwork, President's Day or 4th of July Patchwork. Give me that solo Patchwork, please. People quilt usually by themselves. Next up is a 2-player only game, and that is Boop. I don't know how you would make a solo mode of this. The whole point is that it's a 1v1, like head-to-head chess-like game. I want to be able to play this solo so that I can freaking learn how to play this game better and up my strategy so that when I play other people, I feel like I know what I'm doing. This is a very like selfish reason for me to want Boop to have a solo mode. If you don't know, Boop, like I said, it's like a chess-like game. You are basically putting out cats onto this bed, this grid, and anytime you place a cat next to another cat, it will boop them. Kittens boop kittens, cats boop kittens, and cats. If you get 3 kittens in a row, you make a cat, or you make cats. If you get 3 cats in a row, you win the game. It does not compute in my brain, and so I wish that I had a way to practice this by myself so I wouldn't embarrass myself in the way that I typically do when I play this game, because I'll put something out and then I'll be like, I didn't realize that they were going to boop each other. Or I'll put something out in playing in person, and then Jeff's always like, those boop. And I'm like, I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. And I suck at this game. I think I've won it like maybe one time. And so I just need practice. This is shellfish. This is a selfish pick of Boop. Last but not least is a game. This is like the #1 game that I wish I could play by myself. And I don't know how you could do this unless there was like an app developed for it specifically. But that is Hooky. I love hooky, and you need a minimum 3 players. I would even take just a 2-player version of hooky. If I can't have it solo, at least give it to me as a 2-player. But this is one of my all-time favorite games now. Like, I love this game. I'll play it any chance I get. It just, everything about it I love. I think it's so fun. But the hurdle is you need a minimum of 3 players. Anytime we have 3 players, we're playing this game. Ben and Sarah visited, we played hooky. Max and Danielle visited, we played hooky. Nick visited, we played hooky. People visit, we play hooky. I love hooky. We go to a convention, I play hooky. You want to play hooky with me? Let's play. But I do wish that there was a way that I could play this by myself. And like I said, I would even settle for an app that gives me robot people to play against so that I could just play more hooky. Because I did it all for the hooky. What? The hooky. Those are 10 games that I would love to see have a solo mode developed. If any of these games already have a solo mode that you know that maybe is fan-made or that came out later that I might not know about, please let me know that in the comments below. I'd love to know, because I would love to play more of these games solo. Like, there are some games that end up getting solo modes later, like Oceans is a good example. You could play it 2 to 4, but if you get the solo kind of like expansion pack or whatever, you could play it solo. I think more and more companies are going to maybe start adding it. We've already seen it. Most games at this point come with a solo mode because there are so many people that play board games solo now, which I love. I love that it's a hobby that we can enjoy together. I love that it's a hobby that you can enjoy by yourself. However you fancy it, that's how you can enjoy it. So the games on my list, I really wish that they would allow me to enjoy it in all of those ways as well. I'd also love to know in the comments below, are there any games that you wish had a solo mode that don't currently, that you don't know about? I'd love to know that. But that's everything that I had for today. If you're interested in watching me play solo games, you should check out my solo mode series over on Board Game Geek. I post a video there once a month playing a solo board game, and I have a blast doing it. If there's any games that you'd like to see featured in a solo mode video, let me know, because I'm always looking for new games to play over there, and also just new solo games to try in general. But that's everything that I have for you today. Now, if you're interested in buying board games like any of the many I mentioned today, but just remember, they don't have solo modes, just so you know. But you should first start by checking your friendly local gaming store, and for us, that is the Boardroom Game Cafe. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. I hope to see you again soon. And now, I say goodbye. Goodbye.